Hey everybody, Valor Swanson here again. Happy, enthused, excited about the holidays, and our holiday special today is going to be video and AI had a baby. Yes, somehow we're going to explain that. So hang in there, guys. But as we always do, we go over the 3 takeaways from the previous episode. So that you guys have some things to these glasses. They're driving me nuts. Something for you guys to actually take away and work with your wider stakeholder group as it relates to understanding how you can get things going in your business. So the previous show was inter-channel, channel-less, and we're talking about looking at the customer getting to their goal based on their perspective, not like how you can jury-rig the journey so that you can get this thing done in a manner that allows you to meet your SLAs, your KPIs, so on, but the customer's perspective. Or is it truly customer-centric? Silopsychosis is the word we came up with. Are you going through silopsychosis? I love that word. And then can one contact flow in and out all the different channels to get to the customer goal? That's the acid test there. We love to talk about acid tests. I'm going to be giving our guests today some acid tests to discuss. Can they get to the outcome in one call? When I say call, I mean different channels in that call. And then finally, are your agents' skills based on the relationship that they have with the customer, not the relationship that that these guys are having with the channel or the particular device that they're talking to? Now, that's the thing about that. Agent, are they skilled based on the relationship with the customer? Okay, so those are the takeaways. And so today we're going to talk, now we're going to pivot over to what we're going to talk about. I just want to quickly remind you guys, Valor Swanson, Life Size, been in the industry 30 years. I used to run contact centers in the US, 17, well, it's 21. I closed several of them to get to 17. Been over here in the UK now. I'm London-based. Doing consulting globally for all things customer services, CX, EX, emerging technologies, you name it, how to put a coffee machine in the break room correctly. Anything in the contact center, you guys, give me a call. I can talk to you about it. But anyway, enough about that. Let's talk about today's show. AI and video had a baby. Can that happen? Can that happen? So I've seen, a couple of these little virtual reality things that all of a sudden I'm like Kermit the Frog or something talking on my, my avatar or whatever. But is that going to help customer services? It might in the future, and we could talk about that later. But let's talk about some real serious things here with some real serious people that know a lot of things that I might not know. So I brought in a guest, Andy Bird. I love to say that, Andy Bird in the cloud. Welcome to the cloud, sir. How are you?
Thanks, Valor. I'm doing well. I got to tell you, I'm having trouble getting the coffee in the break room. Can we do another side conversation? Can you help me with that?
Yeah, I can help you with that. In fact, I can measure your average speed of your average handle time based on how much coffee you consume, so we can extrapolate that out and see how much capacity we're going to free up the call center. Okay.
I'm really looking for a high quality SLA on this because I'd really like to get first cup resolution.
There you go. Okay, so Andy, AI and video have a baby. You're like, okay.
I so took you off where you're at, Valor. Right. Andy Bird, I run product management for the CCAS side of the house for Life Size. So let's go back to your baby.
Okay, so Andy, you basically, the roadmap, our innovation, all the cool stuff where we're going, staying ahead of some of the other providers out there, and we're not going to name any, but Life Size, we got a little talk about ourselves. So I'm really excited about some of the things you're doing for the company, and that's why I brought you on board to the call today, the stream today, because you're really going to help us explain how AI and video can't have a baby, but they can do something for us based on this slide here that you talked to me about earlier. And what is that, Andy, based on this slide that's coming up?
Well, I mean, when we talk about this whole idea of video and AI having a baby, there's all kinds of inferences you could take from that. But the reality is you're looking at two things that are going for the change in the way that we interact. And the pandemic has absolutely it's changed our world in so many ways, but there's a couple of new expectations because of the pandemic, right? I have an expectation when I am contacting a business, right? Because we're a B2B2C company, and I can't emphasize that enough. Yeah. When our customers call in, when they chat in, when they email in, there is a new expectation because of the pandemic. And the first, obviously, is we want whatever it is, whatever that interaction is, we want it resolved. So that's the first thing. But then there's this whole step of how do we do that? Because in the past, all we cared about was, and I won't say all we cared about because all, is too all encompassing, right? So
Yeah,
all again, but there was a real high precedent set on optimization. But it's not just about optimizing the agent, but it's about this whole efficiency. And so when we talk about it being differentiated, we're talking about a couple things I think we're going to go into later, and that is the humanity aspect of both the caller and the agent and what that looks like. And how does AI solve the humanity aspect? Well, let's take an acid test to figure that out, right?
Well, yeah, we're going to do some acid tests here in a second, but so I understand that obviously, in reasons it's not obvious. I say obviously, but obviously it is obvious that I'm getting caught up in a loop here. That it needs to be in the cloud because I understand that it's 27% cheaper to be in the cloud to have these technologies, and there's 35% less downtime compared to on-premise. And not only that, this is according to Finance Online. Not only that, is the flexibility to be able to go with video and AI. Can you talk a little bit about how those things kind of just plug into the cloud and why it's simple in the cloud?
Yeah, because I no longer have to bear the burden of keeping on-premise equipment, keeping it updated, watching over it on a regular basis, and then the connectivity problems. So the cloud makes it a ton easier. And it's trite and it's a little cliche to talk about. It's that easy, but realistically, and I talk about it every week, constantly advocating the cloud, but it's that much easier. I can't even imagine, back in early 2000, late 1999, 98, where people were trying to do video and they had on-prem equipment, or even taking that equipment and having it into a data center that I have to maintain and manage. Yeah. So I need other people to service that.
Yeah, exactly. So definitely having the platform to have the differentiated service makes a difference, and specifically why we're talking about this baby being video and AI creating a differentiated service. So let's talk a little bit about the how bit. So I understand that when it comes to a few things here, first call resolution, as you said, was very important. There's a little factoid. I love my factoids. So VoIP Info is the source here for this, but they were saying that customers, if I call you and I get my issue resolved, there's only a 1%. One person out of 100 will be like, that wasn't good enough. Even though I got it resolved, I'm going to go somewhere else. But if I call you, Andy, and you can't help me put my batteries in my my remote here, and so I have to call somebody else because you just couldn't figure out how to help me with that, even with video, then there's a 15% chance that I'm going to go to another company. So first call resolution is critical.
Yeah.
In today's world. But I think AI, the first part of our discussion here, helps with that. But so what is that first acid test, Andy, on the next slide that we're going to look at here? What is that first acid test?
So it's really about it comes down to, and this is part of the whole differentiation in a lot of ways between some of these technologies we're talking about in your standard omni-channel is do you really want this or do you need this? So let's take your battery example. By the way, the plus signs go with the plus signs and the minus signs go with the minus signs. So if you again, another side conversation when you help me with the coffee machine.
I need my notepad. Hold on.
Right. Just the little symbols, they all match up. But is this a call that I need or that I want, right? And so there's a differentiation between that. And so that's one of the aspects of this acid test is figuring out why I'm calling in. Do I need to change my address or do I want to buy a kayak, right? Those are two very different user personas coming into the contact center. I want to buy a kayak and by the way, they're very drastically different. And do I need to change my address? That is a huge one. So figuring that out is huge. Sorry, go ahead. You're going to.
But on that note, though, but in essence, though, the customer doesn't necessarily. They don't have to talk to you per se, right? They could this AI could help them, or even the agent get it done. And so in the slide here you've got the volume of interactions going up on the vertical, and on the horizontal axis you have the complexity of the interaction, and AI tends to fit in this space here where it's pretty complex. There's a lot of volume. So filling out forms, helping the agent pull stuff down for the call, getting stuff, predicting what's going to happen next, so the customer gets whatever they need, so that they can continue on with that journey. And what's interesting is with this is that, and this is where I kind of get turn into a little bit of Baptist preacher here. In I think it's hold on, PR Newswire. It says that 83% of the businesses out there say that AI is a strategic priority. Now, let's just break that down for a second. 83% of them say AI is a strategic priority. I mean, why would you say? Why wouldn't you just do it? AI is available now, isn't it, Andy?
It is. Right? The problem is and I don't mean to downplay anybody. Most people don't know where they want AI. They don't know what AI is going to do for them. And so let's go back to my example, and then I'll go into a little further on AI. But I need to change my address. Do I really need a person to do that? If I have a good virtual agent, not one of those old virtual IVR systems where it was like customer service and you're yelling into the phone, customer service, to try to get to someone. We won't again mention any names of companies that had to do it that way, but that was older technology. Now I can call in, and if I want to do ordering, I just saw a phenomenal demo by one of our partners, which they can contact us about, that does online ordering, and you can literally call up and say, I want a Big Mac, no lettuce, extra sauce, large fries, no wait, medium fries, and go through that whole thing, and it gets it all. I mean, it's like 99%.
I'm sorry. No, they claimed that their speech to text was actually more accurate than a human transcribing.
Yes, that is phenomenal, right? So now I'm getting to the point where that conversational AI is better than a human being. Especially with language barriers, right? It bridges language barriers quite a bit. But going back to that, if I need to change my address, I don't necessarily need a human to do that. I change my address, it repeats it back to me, I'm done. Now, when I go to buy that kayak, I might want to be upsold. That is more of a complex call. So I might want an agent involved with that whole thing. The problem with AI is simply this. Most people say, I want AI, but they don't know where they want it, and they don't know how it applies. So you got to, and maybe we need to do a whole nother program on this. You got to ask the three important questions about AI first before you even think about introducing it there, because there's 4 places you can put AI in an interaction center, and you've got to know which one you're going to do, and you've got to know what level of output you expect from it. So I agree with PR Newswire that 83% need AI. I think that a lot less than that know where they need AI and why they need AI and what they expect out of it. And that's really where we come in to help. And, that's probably a future program for you.
No, absolutely. So, I know by 2030, according to Frost & Sullivan, it's going to be 80% of all contacts with the contact center are going to be handled by AI. So what's left over that can differentiate you, in this trek to the 80%, is the acid test, I think, for video. And this one is just, I think, kind of opposite of the one for AI. And that one there, I'll let you take it away here, Andy.
Yeah, on that. I mean, here's video is not. Let's go way back, right? So we go back, before the turn of the century, right? We go back, early 2000s. Video was this glorified idea, but it didn't work very well. We didn't have the bandwidth for it. Now we do, obviously, because we're doing this right now. But video as a whole is that more intimate interaction, right? It brings what you talked about at the beginning. It brings the humanity back. There are certain verticals in our space, healthcare, financial. You and I talk about financial a lot, where we need to build trust. If I'm investing money in you, I'd love to see your face. It gives me the confidence to close, for the individual on the other line to close it. But even the service industry, you talked about showing me the batteries and how those get put in. Video is another component. So, you talk about video and AI having a baby. The baby is really the customer experience differentiated. And so one is going to be for the more complex problems, video, and one is going to be for the more standardized things. Either way, it's making the consumer's life better and the agent's life better overall. And that's really what we long to do over here at LifeSize.
Yeah, no, exactly. Now, so there's some stats out there, and I don't recall the percentages. So I can't impress you during the entire show here, but personalization is the new rave of the interaction that happens with the customer, is that personalization is going to happen. But it's always talked about personalization being in the form of offers, products, and the way that the services are rendered to the customer. But personalization in relation to what you're saying truly is that video call that's saying, I'm here to help you with your current problem right now.
Yeah. Well, let's take it to a whole nother level. Imagine you have a company that sells the kayaks. Let's go with the kayak idea.
Let's do the kayaks.
They sell kayaks, and one of the things that they have a difficulty with is returns, because they sell kayaks, and kayaks are hard to ship back. It's hard to know if they're damaged. There's all kinds of things. So in the past, the way that typically worked is you get a kayak, and let's say that the delivery company damaged it in the process that it came over. What you did at that point in time is you sat on hold, you called customer service, you told them, they sent you an RMA, you returned it, and usually anywhere between 4 to 6 weeks, you got your money back, or they sent you a replacement now after they received the product, because they had to verify that there was a problem. Today with video, that same company can actually, once it gets shipped, they can show the damage on the kayak right there with that agent. And because of AI, and here's where AI helps even with the video, we use intelligent routing with the AI to know that person just ordered the kayak and route them to a different queue with a different priority and a different skill set to get them handled faster, because we know an RMA is coming, and I get the RMA quicker because I get the agent quicker. I can now show them via video what the problem was. I get my refund faster, or I get my new kayak now. And, by the way, I don't even know how to use a kayak. The last time I was in a kayak, I ended up upside down 90% of the time. So, but still, kayaks are, that is just a perfect example. Snowboard, we can talk about skis. We'll talk about snowboards. We can talk about skis very much, and I have much more expertise in that area. But yeah, that's the idea, Valor, is bringing those two right there. AI is utilized for the routing, and now I've got video that's helping with that RMA.
No, exactly. So I've always wanted to be a scientist, and somehow I didn't become one. So I figured I'd apply my scientific adventures and thoughts onto CX, and so I came up with a cool formula based on the conversation we were having about customer experience differentiated. So according to studies, it's about being effective, quick, painless, cheap, and low, and that being low effort. And so I figured, low effort cubed. And as a previous call center director, when I look at these, I'm thinking about effectiveness from a process standpoint in the contact center. I'm thinking about quick, get the agent on to the next call, painless, so that my budget doesn't get messed up, and cheap, so that, I'm not spending additional money from my budget. But this is really from the customer, again, the customer's perspective. Is it effective for the customer? Is it quick for the customer? Is it painless for the customer? And when I say painless, I'm referring to emotional pain, right? Not, why do I have to call in again? Or how come you couldn't just pivot to video to show me how this thing is done? Or painless being like, I don't want to talk to an agent. I don't want to explain the weather over here and, why my dog's barking in the background. I just want it to actually just be handled, with an AI, a chatbot, right? So this is something I think people should remember based on what we've discussed, is that it's low effort, it's cubed. So what do you think about that, Andy? And then I'll let you take it out with the 3 takeaways from today's show.
Yeah, you got it. I love the whole idea of cubing things, squaring things, and this is a great example. So I think your science is going in the right direction, buddy. But effective, quick, painless, and cheap. I mean, it comes down to, yes, all those, and that equals low effort, which brings back the humanity, ties us back to the beginning of the conversation, makes it better for the agent and better for the customer. These 4 items, so you're exactly right, low effort, helps the agent and helps the customer get their resolution that they need. So there's nothing more to say about that other than to memorize this.
Okay, perfect. Because this is exactly what it is. It's not just some strange thing in the sky, but puppies and butterflies and rainbows. This is actually what it is. And if it passes these different acid tests, including this last one, I think, we've got something good going on here. So, Andy, you're the holiday special guest. A bird in the cloud will take us out with the 3 takeaways. So the first one is...
So we know that technology absolutely has changed, and the adoption rate that we have seen because of the pandemic has increased significantly. The deal is you don't have to wait for it. You can do it. When was that, Valor? When can they get this done?
Tomorrow.
I think it's now.
Now. Yeah, it's now. Cool. Yeah. Okay. And the second one is?
Humanity, Simon Sinek. If you guys are not following Simon Sinek, I think absolutely everybody should. Simon Sinek talks about humanity so much, and it hasn't changed, and we still have the same needs as a culture, and it can't be ignored, both from the Asian perspective as well as the customer perspective. So, and that can happen when?
Now, right. Not tomorrow. Now. So basically, the third one encapsulates the whole thing there, Andy. And I really love your last takeaway.
Yeah, yeah. And the bottom line is does your strategy when it comes to customer interaction? So your customer interaction strategy, does it align these two? Is it taking full advantage of them? Are you implementing them in the right places? And AI, let's go ahead and define the why of what you want to accomplish. When it comes to video, that's almost easy peasy. It really is easy peasy. What are you trying to build there? Are you trying to build trust? Why do I need to see it? Am I trying to stop a truck roll? Whatever it might be. So
yeah, exactly.
Get that done, and we need to do it now.
Exactly. You know, your customers don't become humans tomorrow. They're humans now. So we got to get going on this stuff now. It's just a matter of calling us. So look, guys, we went a little bit over today, but listen, all of this stuff, these blogs and charts and everything that you need and contact information for Mr. Bird and myself is going to be on that link there. We're going to take a break now until the next year. So you guys really have a happy New Year's and happy holidays. And I'm so glad you guys have been following us thus far. Please share this with your friends. And if you have any ideas, is there anything that you guys want us to talk about? You know, I'd love to, get into a debate with this guy over here about something. So come up with something juicy that him and I disagree on, because we tend to agree on too many things. And so I think that's kind of weird, but no. So give us some ideas and we'll love to talk about them. So until next time, guys, thanks for joining us with CX in the Cloud, and have a great afternoon or morning, wherever you are in the world. Take care. Goodbye.
See y'all.